Hello, happy Monday again. So now I think that hopefully you'll be able to hear what I'm saying and we'll get this final video put up. So let's see, we are working on problems. This is going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For 7 and 8, it should say in your quiz what answer to put there. We don't need to go over those two. For number 3 and 4, I'm going to go over those with you. I'll go over number 5, and I want you to do number 6 on your own. So make sure you're paying attention to how we do number 5 so you'll have a good idea of how to do number 6. So let's take a look at this one, number 3. So the length of a rectangle is 3 feet longer than the width, and the perimeter is 30 feet. Find the dimensions of the rectangle. So if we're going to use our steps, we're going to look for the variables and define them and find out what our approach is going to be. So we have our width and our length and our width, and we are also going to draw a picture because this is a geometric problem. So we need to find the dimensions of the rectangle. So that means we need to find both of those unknowns. So let's define our variables. So we have L, we're going to use that for length. And let's use W for width. Okay, and now let's see, what else do we need to set aside? Let's get our drawing done. So we've got a rectangle, and when we label this rectangle, we're going to have a length here, which is also here, and a width here, which is also here. And then finally, we are ready to start with our translation. So the length of a rectangle is, so that is saying L is, so we translate is to equals 3 feet longer, so that's 3. Longer means we're adding, and we're adding it to the width. Okay, so to keep this equation balanced, this is our whole purpose, we have to have a length on one side, and then what would we have to add to the width to be able to make it the same length, to make it the same size as the length? Then we're going to have to add 3. So we have our first equation here, L, try that again, L equals 3 plus W. Okay, and now we need to get our second equation. So it says the perimeter is 30 feet. So we know that something is equal to 30 feet. But what is that? What is perimeter? Well, if you recall, perimeter is the distance around the entire shape. So that means that we're going to add up all of these sides for our perimeter. So that means we've got length, we've got length plus length and width plus width. So let's shorten that, and we have 2L plus 2W. Okay, so that gives us our two equations. Now, this first one here, to me, looks like a little bit easier math to do. So we're going to focus on that one first, and I'm going to label these number 1 and number 2. And I'm going to read these directions to you. It says, without actually solving each problem, choose each correct solution by deciding which choice satisfies the given conditions. So that's right here. Now, if you've ever taken a test and you've realized when you get to a question that you don't remember how to do it, but there's got to be some way to work backwards. So that's the skill that we're practicing right now. So let's see which one of these answers can be satisfied with the first equation. So we're going to test it. So using equation number 1, we have L, which it says is 8 feet. So we put an 8 equals, and then we have 3 plus our width, which is 5. So is that true? 3 plus 5 is 8, so that is a possibility. Now let's look at this one. We have 8 equals 3 plus the width, which is 7, and that is not true, so this cannot be a possible answer. Now we have 9 equals 3 plus 6. This is true, so we still have a possible answer. So now we need to look at our second equation. Our second equation says 2L plus 2W. So let's try that out. It's got to come up to 30. So our second equation here is 2 times L, which is 8, plus 2 times W, which is 5, equals 30. So 2 times 8 is 16, plus 10 equals 26. Does that equal 30? No, it doesn't. So this is not a possible answer anymore. So now that makes our answer C. And then just because we want to do some quick checks after we do our work, we're going to try one more just to confirm. So we've got 2 times 9 plus 2 times 6 equals 30. And let's see, that gives us 18 plus 12, and that does equal 30. So it's definitely C. Now let's see if we can take a look at the second problem here. We're looking at an isosceles triangle. I'm going to move some of this work here up and out of my way if I can. I think I went a little too low. There we go. Let's move what we can. We'll move this. Okay, so for our next problem, we are working with a triangle. So we're going to be drawing a picture again, and pardon me, I'm going to flip this over. And we need to identify our variables. So it says we have a triangle with 2 sides of equal length. So there's 2 sides here. And we all know triangles have a third side. So here we're going to just skip right over to here to the third side. We're going to decide how to define our variables. And we are told to find the lengths of all 3 sides. So we're told that 2 sides are of equal length. So we're going to use the same variable twice for that because we know that they equal the same thing. And there's really no point in creating another variable to confuse things when they are equal. So let's call both of those x. And then we'll call our third side y. So x is the equal sides, and y is the third side. Okay, so now we need to draw a picture. So we have a triangle. Let's call this x and this x because those will be our equal sides, and our third side will be y. We're just guessing at the shape of this triangle. We wouldn't know until after we worked it all out. So now we have to do our translation. So we've got an isosceles triangle with 2 sides of equal length, and it has a perimeter of 20 inches. Okay, so that's important. We're going to write that down. And so to find the perimeter, we would be, again, adding up all of these sides. So we have x plus y. Or in other words, we can write that as 2x plus y equals 20. So that is our first equation. Our second equation, it says each of the equal sides, so that's x. Let me write this just above here. Come on. There we go. So we have x, and it says is, so that's equals 1 inch. So that is 1 inch. So we put a number 1 right here. And longer. So if it's longer, that means we're going to have an addition here. Then the third side. And the third side is y. So I'm going to pull out what I just wrote there. So we have x, which is the equal sides, is equals 1 inch more. So plus, let's see, 1 inch longer than the third side, which is y. Okay, so I think I have everything we need. So the first thing we're going to do is look at these options that we're given. Well, one of the things that we know is that two of the sides are equal. So we actually have kind of an x equals x going on here. So we need to look at these options and make sure that there are two sides that are equal. If we look at the option for C, we can see that we have a 6, 7, and 8, and none of those are equal to each other. So this cannot be one of the options. All right, and then if we look at, let's see, this is going to be equation number 1 and equation number 2, we can quickly see that we really have to think of x has to be bigger than y because we're always adding 1 to the y to get x. So I feel like that our two sides, x and x, should be longer than y. Okay, so I think that means that we're going to have to choose B. So now we're going to go ahead and use our common sense testing. Just very quickly, we're going to test x equals 1 plus y. Okay, so our x here is going to be 6 equals 1 plus 7. And right here we're going to have 7 equals 1 plus 6. And we'll see which one of these is true. So this is 8, and this is equal to 7. This is true. This is not true, so this cannot be the correct answer. All right, so now let's take our last look here at 2 computer disks and 3 notebooks cost $17. However, 5 computer disks and 4 notebooks cost $32. Find the price of each. Now, some of you probably like to go shopping, and if we're going to go shopping, we need to know that if we buy multiple things at the same price, that we're going to multiply. So if I'm going to buy 7 $3 yogurts, then I'm going to have to multiply 7 times 3 to figure out that I'm paying $21 for the yogurts. So in this occasion, we have what we're looking for, our variables, is going to be the cost of each of these items. And we're helped a little bit along by the answer choices here being prices. So we can start off by saying we're going for the computer disk's price and the notebook cost as well. So we'll define our variables, and we have C for computer disk cost, the cost of CDs, computer disks, and we'll call this notebooks N. That's the cost of notebooks. Okay, so let's follow these translations. So 2 computer disks, that would mean that we have 2 times the cost of computer disks plus, because we say and, that's plus, 3 notebooks. So that's going to be 3 times the cost of notebooks. And that will equal, because it's telling us it costs $17. However, 5 computer disks, and that's plus 4 notebooks, again we're multiplying again, so 4 notebooks costs or equals $32. All right, so now we have our 2 equations. This is number 1, this is number 2, and now we're going to start testing them. So let's start with equation number 1. Let's put in 2 times C. So our cost for our computer disks is going to be $3. And we need to pay attention to this because our C costs are here and our N's are over here, which is the opposite of how we have them written. So 2 times 3 plus 3 times 4 equals 17. Let's check and see. So 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. And unfortunately, 6 plus 12 is 18 and not 17. So this one cannot be. Next, let's check B. So we have 2 times 4 plus 3 times 3 equals 17. So let's check that. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3 times 3 is 9, and that equals 17. So this is a possibility. We'll keep an open mind. And now let's check the third choice, C. So we'll have 2 times 2 plus 3 times 5 equals 17. So we have this equals 4, and this equals 15, and that equals 19. So these are not equal, so this cannot be. So letter B is our answer. Okay, so I want you to give number 6 a go on your own. Remember, you are finding out the price of the CDs and the music tapes, and then you're going to test your at least one of your equations and find out which ones are still possible answers. If you don't have your answer identified by the time you've tested your first equation on all 3 choices, then you need to check with your second equation and see if it works for those. All right, that is it. Good luck with number 6, and I will talk to you in a video tomorrow. Have a great day.